In this video, we'll discuss what are the advantages and disadvantages of partnerships, but make sure to stay until the end of the video to find out what other two options might be available to you in addition to partnerships. If you're new, let me just very quickly introduce myself. I'm Zoppi, an English qualified solicitor and the managing director of Zoppi, my law firm. And on YouTube, my goal is to make business law easy. Great, let's jump straight into it. There are three main kinds of partnerships, starting with the general partnership. The general partnership is really quite informal because typically it's just two or more people who come together with the view of making a profit together. So they come together, they make a business, and that can be recognized as a general partnership. You don't need to register it at Companies House. There are no specific incorporation documents that need to be produced. It simply exists. The advantage is exactly that. There are no formalities, less paperwork, less costs in setting it up. But there is one huge disadvantage, which is that each of the partners has unlimited personal liability. So that means that each of the partners is personally liable for the debts of that partnership. In other words, if the partnership owes a lot of money, then the person who is owed that money can come after you and your house to make sure that that money is paid off. Moving on to the second main type of partnership, which is the limited partnership, not to be confused with the limited liability partnership, which we'll get to in just a second. The limited partnership has at least one partner who has unlimited liability, like we talked about just now, unlimited personal liability, and at least one partner who has limited liability. So that partner who has limited liability means that the only thing that they are risking typically is the amount of money they have invested into the partnership, nothing more. In other words, their house is not on the line. The advantage of this type of partnership is especially relevant for people who are looking to make investments. So if you are an investor, you can create a limited partnership. You should be the limited partner who invests the money but has limited liability. And then if you're a busy person, you might appoint another partner who has unlimited liability to make sure that they have an interest in making sure that things work out. And they're the ones who manage the investment for you, for example, by investing in property and so on. The disadvantage of a limited partnership is that it is not suitable for all partnerships, of course. If you are equals, partnerships of equals, then it's very hard to try to negotiate for your partner to be the one who has unlimited liability. Great, now let's move on to the limited liability partnership. The advantage of the limited liability partnership is that all partners have limited liability, so none of the partners are risking their house. The disadvantage of a limited liability partnership, also referred to as an LLP, is that there is quite a lot of paperwork involved and there are filing requirements, and their information is held on the public register of Companies House, much like a limited liability company, an LTD. Now, before we move on to discussing the two other options that could be of interest to you, which are the joint venture and the collaboration, make sure to subscribe to my channel to continue to receive to the point, pragmatic, and practical legal information. Also, if you want professional legal advice with your business legal needs, make sure to reach out. My WhatsApp should be somewhere around this video and my contact details are below. Amazing. So what are joint ventures? In short, joint ventures are separate legal entities that are set up by other people. So you might have two legal entities that already exist and they come together, they set up a third legal entity in which they're both shareholders. And that third legal entity, the joint venture entity, is the one that has a specific purpose. For example, a joint venture can be used to research new products or new inventions, and the two entities are sharing the costs in that, and they will share the intellectual property that is generated by that entity. The advantage of a JV is that you are pooling resources together, you have limited liability, but at the same time, you're not completely blending the two separate businesses into the one. You still keep that separation. The disadvantage is that, of course, there are some costs. So you need to set up the company. You might want to have bespoke articles of association. And to learn more about articles of association, watch this video right here. You will need a joint venture agreement, which is quite a lengthy and complex document, which can be quite costly to produce. And you have filing requirements with Companies House. You have your separate tax to pay. There's quite a lot. It's an entire business of its own. Great. Now let's discuss collaborations. Collaborations are quite informal in that there is no separate entity. Nothing is really created together as a separate legal person. It's a purely contractual relationship between two different parties. The contract, also known as the collaboration agreement, is going to specify what the parties are collaborating on. Typically, collaborations are used, for example, in the products business, whereby two brands come together and they create one product that benefits from both brands and they go to market together. Collaborations are especially advantageous if you are doing specific projects together, but you don't want to have that business that grows independently for the long term. It's just a project that you're collaborating on. Collaborations are great for people who have skills that complement each other very well, but they don't intend on creating a separate business that is intended to live for a long time. So they just want to do a project, which is also the disadvantage. You're not supposed to use a collaboration forever. If you want to set up an entire business, then you should either do a joint venture or a partnership altogether. Now, to learn more about collaborations, make sure to watch this video right here.